Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
What is up? Welcome to the Drinking Bros Baseball Show. As always, I'm Rob Fox, joined by Dan Holloway. Can we get that game back up? Gracias. We're live watching the end of the Braves-Dodgers game/series while we just talk some Braves baseball and baseball in general. We were both doing other shows or whatever, but I assume you're watching along to the game so far?
Yeah, I mean, Morton looked good, rather.
Bad first inning, but
yeah, it was tough. The second inning was kind of tough for him, too, but that's kind of the MO on him. He's going to walk a guy and give up a home run at some point during the game, usually. Yeah. The Braves just can't get it going versus Gonzalez, but this is kind of how I expected this series to go. If you had asked me before what it would have gone like, I would have said like a 1-2 split the Dodgers' way, probably.
Yeah, and I'm happy with, honestly, taking one out of the three on the road in L.A., even though I think this game the rubber game today, obviously, was a toss. And it's not over. It's only 3-0, right? Yeah. What is it, sixth inning? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not over, and we grinded out some good at-bats on the first game after Kershaw got out of there, especially. They kind of woke up. I felt like they're a little dead the first 4 innings. Not necessarily intimidated like they used to be against the Dodgers, but
definitely not intimidated by any stretch. I just think this is the 14th game and 14 games in 14 days. Right. So, it's probably the same for the Dodgers as well, and you can kind of tell everybody's a little bit late on the fastball.
Yeah. Except Freddie.
No, he's never late on fat. Well, sometimes, but yeah, he looks good this year.
That's what I named the show today. Freddie takes the Braves to Dong City because hit another one today in the first inning.
I don't know what he did yesterday, but
not much actually. Freed, like everyone else on that lineup, had him locked the.
He made him look pretty rough on a couple. I know he struck him out twice. I don't know if he did anything in the later innings, but if you're a fan of Braves baseball, that's got to be. Things worked out pretty well. Like, I think most people still like Freddie Freeman as a person. He's always been a pretty affable dude. So seeing him do well, seeing him get a home run in his first at bat against the Braves in a more or less meaningless game, right, was pretty cool. Watching Kenley Jansen close his first game not in a Dodgers uniform against the Dodgers and Chavez Ravine, also pretty cool. All this stuff has worked out really well.
Not to mention, and I think this has happened before, but still a fucking Kimbrel save against the Braves also.
With the Cubs or?
Well, he got one with the Dodgers. He plays for the Dodgers. Game 1, he closed out the Braves.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so another old Braves favorite.
But he's been gone for a while, so I don't know if that one still registers.
I'm bummed out about that because when we traded him away, I remember everyone was kind of like, well, we're rebuilding and we're going to bring him back when, because there's probably maybe like 3 Braves pitchers I've enjoyed watching more than Craig Kimbrel in my entire life.
Well, I mean, like Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox.
And that's it.
Obviously.
I really don't know. And I love Max Fried and shit like that, but I really don't know that I've ever gotten more enjoyment out of watching a pitcher for the Braves, aside from the 3 extremely obvious choices, than Craig Kimbrel.
I mean, I really enjoy watching Mike Soroka, but it's been limited, right? Because he's been
2
injured.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Mike Soroka, but he's dead until proven otherwise, basically.
He's a pitcher, though. There's a lot of throwers in Major League Baseball. A lot of guys are throwing hard. Like we've talked about before, the 2 different kinds. There's the jugs gun, or the speed gun, and then there's the slow gun, as they call it. The slow gun measures the speed of the ball as it crosses the plate. The jugs gun, the speed gun, measures it at release from your hand, right? And there's a notable decrease, like 2 to 3 miles per hour typically. So not everybody's throwing 100 miles per hour now. Like, we didn't all of a sudden just start throwing over 100. Yeah. That's not how it works. But there are some things to talk about in that regard because the speed of the pitch and then the barrel rate, the launch angle and exit velocity and all this stuff should be a pretty good predictor of success. And when I say success, I mean the distance of travel and the landing spot of a baseball. And it should be pretty consistent year to year. And we're having a problem with that.
Home runs are usually we'll get to the more general MLB stuff at the end, but this has been happening a lot to the Braves, just like everyone else. So fuck it. The MLB is definitely using dead balls this year. There's no fucking question. Before we even get
even deader than last year, even deader than last year, where we knew they were also using, because fucking Manfred said we're not using juice balls anymore. Like, well, you said back then you weren't using juice balls, asshole. So which is it? Are you not using them now? Or were you using them then? What the fuck's going on?
What is juiced? Like, what the fuck? Like, would they just, like, pick up the ball? Like, did they, like, just genuinely think it wasn't juiced and they picked it up and they're like, oh, fuck, actually.
Yeah.
It's okay, we fixed it.
Fucking dumb. But, I mean, I felt like baseball was going pretty well when pitchers could tack up their fingers and the ball was juiced.
Right.
Like, who was complaining about it? Jacob deGrom still had a 1.5 ERA. If the rest of you dicks can't figure it out, that's your fucking problem.
Nobody is really mad about seeing breaking balls move like a wiffle ball or then the ball be made contact with and fly out of the fucking park.
Yeah.
Nobody's mad.
No. People like home runs.
Especially the juice ball thing is especially funny because it's like getting the steroids era without making the players take steroids.
Yeah, well, they probably are on something. But, it's weird. But there's actual data behind this. So... on balls hit between 100 and 102 miles per hour, that's the exit velocity.
Yeah.
At the same launch angle
as last year, basically.
Only 16.5% went for home runs instead of, I guess, 100%.
No,
right?
So over the last 7 years, that number's been 33%.
Oh, I see. So it's cut in half this year.
Yes.
That's a pretty big decrease, and it's not like, I mean, are we going to blame Putin and global warming for this one too? The fuck are we doing here, man?
I feel like global warming would help the problem, if anything.
I don't understand how or why anybody in Major League Baseball would want that. Like, why would you want a deadened ball? Why would you not want fucking crazy amounts of home runs? The most successful baseball has ever been was also... right after it almost collapsed.
Yeah.
Right? So 94 strike, and then the 95 season, you get a lot of the fans back. Luckily, one of the two teams that were in the fucking World Series, Cleveland not so much, but the Braves especially have like a nationwide audience.
Yeah.
So good attendance records, blah, blah, blah.
And then the Yankees won 96.
96. Then Marlins versus Yankees, I guess.
No, that was that was 03. Marlins Indians was 97.
Marlins Indians, yeah. So... that one probably didn't do well. No. 98 was the fucking home run chase year.
And the Yankees won the World Series.
And the Yankees won the World Series. That was the best year of baseball that I've ever been alive for.
Yeah.
And the most excited I've ever seen anybody about baseball, watching a shitty Cubs team play just because Sammy Sosa was hitting all those home runs. Why the fuck, like... why would you dampen the talent? I don't understand that.
And this isn't just like the numbers, and it's like, I guess I have noticed fewer home runs. How many times have we been texting during games and been like, dude, that ball died?
Yeah.
I swear to God, I've sent that text to you like 5 fucking times this year already.
Some dude just fucking crushes a ball and it hangs it. Like you'll see that sometimes, right? In the Southeast, when it's humid in the early part of the season, right? The ball gets heavy out there. Same thing in LA, right? The ball gets heavy at night out there sometimes, and it's not a particularly hitter-friendly park. But fuck, man. I mean, you see a ball get crushed at like an 18 to 20 degree launch angle and 95 miles per hour plus, that's a home run.
Yeah.
That should be a home run.
I mean, last night alone, both Ozuna and Arcia had balls that looked... I don't even know which one I could say was more hard. I mean, Ozuna's looked like all Ozuna home runs do, where he just like...
100 miles per hour or so.
Yeah, just throws the fucking bat through the strike zone, and you're like, fuck, he hit that hard. And then the Arcia one, I don't know much about Arcia as a hitter.
I don't either, but he barreled the fuck out of that thing. And there was no top spin on it. It just it was on this trajectory, and then it kind of did this. Like somebody plucked it out of the air or some shit. So that's a dead ball. I mean, it's you run out of inertia at some point. The energy runs out carrying the baseball because of its mass.
Right.
Like the mass is too much. And it's not just the mass, it's also the wobble. So one of the things that led to the juiced ball from the 1920 period was the fact that they made a better baseball.
Right. The old baseball is they're just throwing a rock, basically.
But the center of gravity, there's a little rubber ball in the middle of a baseball. and there's a bunch of threads and shit over it, but the center of it was so good that there was no wobble. Like even the Earth. So technically, the moon doesn't orbit the Earth, right? And the Earth doesn't orbit the sun. We each orbit like a point slightly off center from the center of our celestial bodies, right?
Okay.
That's the way that works. And the same thing with the baseball. There's wobble right in the middle. So it's not exactly in the center of the core until it was. Until they actually made a perfect baseball and you saw the result. It just get fucking launched. And it also held tighter on breaking balls. Like everything that happens in the physics of baseball was made better by a better baseball. And who the fuck was complaining about it? Who was complaining about that? It certainly wasn't DeGrom. Like the pitchers' strikeouts were up. Yeah. Pitchers' ERAs were not higher, but more home runs were being hit.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was just a different game. It's honestly, it feels like the type of thing. Like imagine if, like every couple of weeks, the NFL just like changed the length of an end zone or something, or like a field goal got narrower, and they're just like,
or the ball got bigger.
Right. And but then they were also like, no, everything's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you make the basketball a little bit bigger and everybody's remming out shots. You're like, hey, I don't understand, man.
Yeah. Like, well, it's the same ball. Like, I don't think it is. And they're like, no, we're not doing anything to it. It's fine. It's fucking wild.
It's really fucking stupid.
Did someone just hit a home run? No, that was from earlier. Okay.
Yeah. There's a name for that. I'm trying to...
For what?
The Barry Center. BARYCENTER.
Is the baseball or just in general?
It's like, so the Earth and the sun, the sun is doing its thing. It's not static. That's not correct to say that. But in relation to the sun, we go around it once a year, right?
Yeah.
But we're not actually orbiting around the very center of the sun. We're orbiting around the barycenter, which is all the data, all the calculations, like how much the other planets are pulling on the sun, how much we're being pulled on by the moon and everything else, and it's off. Like I think our orbit around the sun is somewhere in the sun's atmosphere, not exactly not even on the surface of the sun. I think.
Okay.
I had to look that up, but that's. People are trying to figure out what it means, juiced ball. It's not like they're fucking corking bats. It's not like they're fucking adding something extra to the baseball. It's just a better baseball.
Right.
The center is actually the center. There's no barycenter. There's no offset center.
Dan.
That's it. What?
Berry Center sounds delicious.
Shut the fuck up. Fucking stoned asshole.
Giorgio has been smoking a lot of weed today.
Yeah, he sure has.
Everything sounds delicious.
I mean, it's 420. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, fuck that. The ball situation is just absurd. Next up, getting into Braves stuff here. Like I said, we're watching the rubber game of the Braves-Dodgers. Dodgers just scored again, 4-0. Probably prospects not looking great for the Braves so far. Probably going to drop this series, but that's fine. I'll take 1 out of 3 on the road in L.A. Like you said, 14 games in a row at the tail end of a West Coast road trip, no less. That's fucking fine.
Yeah, I think they have a day off tomorrow for the first time in this season.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Yeah, they've got a day off tomorrow, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they got another day off Monday. So,
and this is going to be the nature of the season with the fact that they're still playing 162.
Yeah. There's gonna be a couple of those road trips that last an extra 2 days. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it fucking must suck because usually there's 7 to 10 days.
Right.
Not fucking 14 days. That's a long ass fucking road trip.
Yeah, it's a fucking brutal schedule they're on right now.
But yeah, there's gonna be periods during the year, and I know they wanted to get one out of the way up front, which is why they allowed teams to carry more pitchers, like a 28-man roster, which they have to reduce to 26. I think. At the end of the month?
Something like that, yeah. It is adjusted rules because of the fucking lockout and shit. Yeah. But what have you seen so far from the series? What have you thought? I mean, Freeman's got 2 homers. He was not necessarily like overly locked in to start the season. He was a little, it's fine. It's only 10 games or whatever the fuck. So it's not like a big deal, even though we're like blowing Matt Olson for putting up God numbers right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, he found his stroke during this series.
Yeah, Freeman looks good. He's definitely getting locked in there. I wonder about. I don't think 5th is a great spot for Max Muncy. I think he's a really good OBP and situational hitter, and I don't understand why they don't lead him off instead of Mookie Betts. Like I understand Betts is faster, right? We still have this idea of a speedster leading off your ball game, but why?
Well, I mean, Betts is also...
People don't really steal bases that much anymore, and to be honest, Max Muncy steals them as I think as frequently as Mookie Betts has the last couple of years. Mookie doesn't really steal a whole lot of bases anymore, and neither does Max.
I mean, there's still the first to third speed, which he obviously has, or if he gets on first base, probably scoring on a double by Freddie. Which
but Muncy's not particularly slow either. I just don't. I think this lineup is being mismanaged right now. I don't think Muncy at 5 makes any sense. I would rather have him at 3 and Turner at 4. Turner, not Justin. Justin Turner should be like hitting 9th.
Yeah, the fact that Justin Turner is, I think, cleanup right now.
Yeah,
that's a bit absurd to me.
I mean, I've never really thought David Roberts was a particularly good manager. Like he's like a good manager on a team that spends the kind of money they did gets Joe Torre results. Right, which are fucking championships.
Right.
And then once they let Joe Torre go and they keep spending the same amount of money, you get dick.
Interesting how that works.
I mean?
In fact, they still have the same general manager from the Torre days.
Yeah,
Cashman's been there for fucking ever.
This is more than likely going to be his last season because he fucked up big time this year.
He fucked up big time with that Garrett Cole deal. Looks goddamn awful.
Well, we'll see. He's got plenty of time to turn it around. But yeah, he doesn't look great now. But anyways, I've always thought Dave Roberts was a fucking hump as a manager.
Yeah.
And this situation he's got going on right now is all the proof I need. He is terrible as a manager. Makes dumb decisions all the time. Although I do still agree that pulling Kershaw in that fucking perfect game was a good idea. Every now and again he gets it right, but I think he's a terrible manager. I would love to see an extremely good manager like fucking Joe Madden or somebody like that on a team like this.
I think Madden kind of jumped the shark at this point.
He got weird after a while because, I think he got bored with his own success and was like, let's see how else I can fucking do it. He's became eccentric for its own sake, which is not.
He did something weird the other day where it's like, he walked Corey Seager with the bases loaded in like the third inning or something.
I mean, technically it worked out. They only scored 3 runs instead of the possible 4 they could have scored. And his team did win the game, but yeah, that was silly. Especially at this point in the season when everybody's on these long road trips. Why are you doing something that crazy to win one ball game? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I will say if you want to go with a Rays guy, and Kevin Cash would be
Cash he's a good one. I mean, you put Kevin Cash on a roster like the Dodgers and you could fucking say goodbye to any chances anybody else has at winning anything. But that was the deal with Torre. Like, he was a great manager. If we had a manager that was smarter than Bobby Cox, we would have won multiple championships for sure. Like, he was terrible in handling a pitching staff, especially the bullpen, and he definitely passed that trade on to Brian Snitker. The Braves have won in spite of this man.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
He's on the Bobby Cox trajectory. I realized the other day. So Cox. Well, I guess Cox had managed before. This is Snicker's
He managed
first gig.
in Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, and in Atlanta before, too.
Yeah, in the early 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he took over. Ted Turner took over for a couple of games, and then Bobby Cox came in and took over for him.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. But Cox won the World Series with the Braves in his 4th year on his main stint, and Snitker is now on the World Series with the Braves on his 4th year main stint. So hopefully things branch off from there and do not maintain a similar fucking track, especially because both those Braves teams were like loaded for the next decade.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Snitker has been a better solution institutionally than some of the other guys. What was that dude's name? Freddie
Gonzalez. He was god awful.
Just terrible. But also the Braves were terrible when he except for 2004, I guess.
No, that was still Cox. So Freddie Gonzalez was like those 2010, the 2011 collapse.
Yeah.
The 2012 wild card playoff, and then 2013 when we lost to the Dodgers in the first round. He famously left Craig Kimbrell in the bullpen in the 8th, and we gave up the lead. Although, to be fair, man, I always think that's too harsh of a decision because the dude that he did put in had been our 8th inning guy all year and like threw 99 and had an ERA of like barely over 2.
Who was it?
I'll have to look up his name because he didn't have much of a career after that, but like he was.
Was it Johnny Venters? Because
no, it wasn't.
Gonzalez ruined his career.
Gonzalez literally
literally ruined his career. He got 2 years of like 75 games out of him, and he never pitched again.
Yeah.
In any meaningful baseball. Yeah, I mean, just the conversation we're having. We're talking about two of the premier franchises in Major League Baseball, and even they can't find a great manager these days. I don't think a great manager exists right now other than Kevin Cash. I think he's the only one that you could legitimately say is a great manager.
So David Carpenter was that pitcher, and he was lights fucking. He's my age. Wow, he's already out of the league. A little older than me. But in 2013, yeah, man, he had a fucking 1.78 ERA, and a K for 9 over fucking 10. So like, Gonzalez didn't put a scrub in. Like Freddie Gonzalez fucking sucked. But of all the decisions that he made, I'm not sure that was a bad one. And also, the dude who hit the game-winning home run off Carpenter was Juan Uribe. So it wasn't like he put in this dude for the middle of the Dodgers lineup.
Yeah, Juan Uribe is just a fat guy with a pencil mustache, by the way.
Right.
Like he, every now and again, he would fucking crank a tater.
Yeah. It really, like, he did not, he didn't put this fucking dude in for the middle of the lineup or anything like that. So I kind of always thought that was a little bit unfair, and I don't even fucking like Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But Fried was dominant last night. What have you seen from Max Fried so far?
He is, I feel like he's pitched pretty well in the playoffs, generally speaking, under pressure. As a matter of fact, a lot of these young kids for the Braves have. Ian Anderson became a major league pitcher in the playoffs.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
I think at some point before last year, it didn't take long, but he had more playoff starts than he did regular season starts.
Yeah, I mean, and to Fried's credit, he's welcomed all the challenges, and it seems to have sharpened him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like if there's the difference between right now, like he clearly wanted to dominate the Dodgers, not just for the playoff thing, but you could also tell he went particularly hard after Freddie Freeman. Like he made some of his best pitches against him.
Yeah.
So that tells you that this is the kind of guy that can elevate himself to another level if he can find the motivation and focus to do it. He does it in the playoffs. But you're talking about the transforming yourself from a, middle 3 ERA with fucking 12 to 15 wins to a perennial Cy Young contender, like sub 3 ERAs, maybe sub 2 sometimes. Like he's got that kind of ability. And it's interesting to see it. So I just wonder, he's only, what is he, 25?
No, he's 27.
26?
He's a little older.
So he's got
he's in his prime, essentially.
Yeah, he's just entering his prime right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how.
He's like 28.
It'll be interesting to see how he develops. Like a pitcher like that who stays healthy, their prime now is 28 to like 36, maybe 37. Now it's getting a little older.
Yeah, I mean, we all hope for a Scherzer.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not just Scherzer. There's quite a few.
Verlander,
that are pitching into their later years. But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do. And the other part of that is it takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the rotation when you need a stopper in your rotation.
Yep.
When you've had a bad run, well, at least we know fucking Max is on the mound tomorrow. And to be honest, Ian Anderson is a stopper as well. You know what I mean? He's legit like that, and so is Mike Soroka if he ever fucking plays baseball.
He's alive again. Well, I mean, what do you think of Morton? I mean, Morton okay today, but I mean, Morton's another guy too. It's like that's a quality arm you're throwing out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in this current rotation, Morton, he's on ESPN, the depth chart has him at 1, but he's their third starter, in my opinion.
For sure.
And if Soroka came back and showed like 3 or 4 starts consecutively, that he's back to where he was once before later on this season, then he's your fourth starter.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Charlie Morton, too, is the type of guy who he puts up like a 3.4, 3.5 ERA in the regular season, but then in the playoffs he becomes kind of a killer. Like that's kind of his MO. I feel like.
I mean, he has to have as much, if not more, playoff pitching experience than anybody in Major League Baseball at this point. After 10 years with the Braves, Rays, and then Braves again, right? You would think so. It's got to be, and the Astros as well. It's got to be either him or Kershaw.
Kershaw, maybe Wainwright.
That's true, but Wainwright's were a long fucking time ago. It's like the 2000s when most of his action happened. But yeah, I mean, you love having that experience on your team. Everybody, like Ross is always bitching about how the Braves are a first half team or a second half team. Like, okay, well, that's if you're going to pick one, that'd be the one to pick.
Yeah, that's the one I want.
You know what I mean? That's when it actually matters. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that. But it is really interesting to watch the way these guys stretch out and develop over the season. And like Bryce Elder, for example, looks like Max Fried did 3 years ago. Like the pitch selections.
I think he reminds me more of Soroka.
Well, no, I mean, he is right-handed, I guess. I'm not talking about the pitching style. I'm talking about the mental approach to the game.
Okay, yeah.
Like he has this tendency to walk 2 or 3 guys in a row.
Yeah.
You would never. I like Ian Anderson. If he's walked 3 dudes in a row in his career before, I never saw it. He just doesn't. Like he attacks the strike zone when he gets behind and stuff like that. Sometimes, like earlier this year, when he's not super sharp, that ends up with 3 home runs. Right. That's just how it goes. Elder is a very smart pitcher, but some of those guys have a tendency to nibble sometimes.
Yes.
And that'll get you in fucking trouble.
It's kind of like a running back who dances too much in the backfield.
Yeah, or just go too much lateral movement when you should be going downhill.
Yeah.
And that's just something he's going to have to do. He's going to have to develop his personality as a pitcher. Like he's got all the talent in the fucking world, and it seems like you couldn't be around a better group of dudes to figure out how to be a good young pitcher.
Yeah,
right?
no shit.
Because they've got 2 of the best in baseball, if not 3, when Soroka comes back. So, a lot of stuff is going well for them. That's my takeaway from Max, though. I think he's just now entering. Like we've seen, like this dude be really good. I think we're going to see him be great for the next 4 or 5 years.
I didn't realize this. He has the most wins in baseball since 2019.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucking wild.
Lowest exit velocity of his career so far.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. What do you think of these numbers in particular? Inducing the lowest exit velocity and the highest launch angle of his career so far. Only 2 barreled balls this year. He's only had, 2 starts, I think? 3 starts?
Yeah.
So that's
2, 3, yeah.
But I mean, more so less the barrel ball thing, but more. What do you think of the exit velocity launch angle combo? I mean, that kind of that reads like a fly ball pitcher to an extent, right? Like low exit velocity, high launch angle.
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious to see what the batting average on balls in play against him are. I know he had a bunch of blue bullshit at some point, but.
Oh, his BABIP is actually hilarious. Well, last night probably fixed that, but
yeah, before that it was probably like in 370, 380 range if I had to take a guess.
His BABIP is still 327.
Yeah, so
after last night,
it had to be up around 400 before that.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, look, if you're not hitting barrels and you're getting a super high launch angle, right? Like if you are giving up any amount of hits, which he has, you're also getting ground balls and shit. If your average launch angle is super high, like over 40, 50, something like that, that means that people are late on a lot of your pitches, right? Because you get the barrel to the ball, usually you hit it flusher, right? You hit the ball on a line somewhere. You're either ahead or behind if you're popping the ball up, typically. It's not just about missing location. Major League Baseball hitters don't just swing a foot away from where the ball is. They're late or early on the ball, typically, right?
Yeah.
That's generally what happens. So that means he is missing. I mean, in general, it means he's missing barrels, but why? He's missing barrels because people aren't fucking timed up on him right now. And this is the point in the season usually when hitters are ahead of pitchers.
Yeah.
So if it's like that now, what happens when he's fully loose and his average fastball is back to 97?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now you're dealing with a fucking lefty that has this big sweeping fucking slider low and in, and he's got the big dumb slow curveball.
I mean, his curveball at this point is getting Wainwright Zito comparisons.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's maybe the best, or in Kershaw too, for that matter. I should say. I mean, it might be the best curveball in baseball at this point.
Yeah.
Certainly top, 3 or 4.
Yeah, he looks really good. And I mean, it's one thing to like you look at the BABIP, so you can write off a lot of the WHIP and ERA issues, but the fact that barrels aren't getting onto baseballs for him, that's a good sign.
So his fielding independent pitching, which is essentially how well he's pitched, stripping away BABIP and everything like that. It's what his ERA would be, stripping away all that crap more or less, is 150.
Yeah.
So pretty fucking good. I'm loving the one I'm seeing because I was still worried. Like Max Fried, we talked about this going into Game 6 of the World Series last year, where we were just like, all right, man, well, you're fucking 27 years old. You're supposed to be the ace now. Like, it's time to nut up, right? Like, this is it. This is it. This is what you trained your whole fucking life for, like, literally.
Yeah.
So you're going to do it? And he fucking did it. And now, hopefully, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of, pitchers who aren't that fucking guy, Huskar Noah, who I know was kind of one of the guys who intrigued you the most, maybe on the staff.
He still does.
Sent down to AAA, so Elder's in the rotation now. Maybe Strider as well. And then this is less of more of a who cares, but Sean Newcomb, the last piece of that shortstop, Anderson Simmons trade to the Angels has been designated for assignment, so that trade has officially, the book's been closed on that.
Yeah, Newcomb had one good year, I guess.
He was, at the time of all the selling we did, because you remember we sent Anderson Simmons to the Angels, but we sent all those fucking dudes to the Padres as well, who we got Max Fried in one of those deals, the Uptons and Kimball to the Padres and shit like that. Fried came back from one of those. But at the time, I want to say, I remember everyone being the most hyped on Sean Newcomb as a prospect.
Yeah. Well, he's a big lefty, 6'5" lefty. He's got good stuff. He just can't. He doesn't have it mentally. His command sucks. I mean, the only good season he had was 2019. It was also the only season where he averaged under 4 walks per 9 innings. Oof. Like, for a reliever, you just can't have that shit. I mean, last year...
Well, he was a starter. And remember, I think in 2019, he nearly threw a no-hitter, like took it into the ninth.
I think it was 2018.
Okay.
He started 30 games in 2018.
Okay, yeah. Then it was 2018, and he took it like into the ninth, I think, a no-hitter, and got broken up.
Yeah, but his whip was 1.329, 1.33. That's okay for a starter, but that's not good. And then, they tried to run him out as a starter a little bit in 19. It just didn't happen, so they moved into long relief, and he had a pretty good season as a mop-up guy. But then after that, the wheels fell off. 2020 was a kind of a loss, like it was for a lot of people. But last year, he averaged 7.5 walks per 9 innings. Like, you can't fucking do that. I don't care how many people you strike out. You can't have a 1.7 whip in Major League Baseball over the course of 30 games.
No, fuck no.
Like, that's a ridiculous amount of base runners. So, yeah, he's DFA'd now. For those of you who don't know, designated for assignment means you're on a different team now.
You're cut,
right? Like,
basically.
You're cut.
Yeah,
you're not. He didn't get sent down to the minor leagues. He got sent down to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And Noah, on the other hand, got sent down to the minor leagues because. They saw a couple of things in his approach and his mechanics that they didn't care for, and they sent him down to AAA to work on those things. That's what happened to Noah. So I think we'll see him again before the season's over.
What did you think of his start against the Dodgers? Great, obviously keeping in mind that it's the fucking Dodgers and their lineup's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, he looked. Let me pull up these fucking statisticals here. He didn't ever seem very locked in. Now, granted, again, that lineup is going to keep you off fucking balance, like left and right. I mean, it's just not an easy team to pitch to. Obviously, they're probably going to win close to 100 games, if not a fucking 100 games. But yeah, so I thought Freeman hitting a home run off of him in the first inning. That was kind of the normalist thing that happened, I guess. Like, he had a lot of base runners early on. Like, he struggled through the first couple of innings, and by the time the wheels fell off in the fourth, he had already. I mean, he threw 75 pitches, right, in that game, or 80? Yeah, 75 pitches in just over 3 innings. Like, that's 3 hard-ass innings.
Yeah.
Plus the fourth where you couldn't get through the whole thing.
I mean, and
he didn't do himself any favors. He was in the strike zone a lot. 40 strikes, thrown 35 balls, though. That's you don't want a fucking almost 1-to-1.
No.
Like, you want 2-to-1, preferably 3-to-1.
Right.
Like, for your strike-to-ball ratio.
And even the stuff that was in the zone, I mean, that fucking pitch to Freeman, like, how many times have you seen Freddie Freeman hit that fucking ball out?
Yeah, at no point in your game plan against Freddie Freeman should a fucking belt-high outside fastball be on the menu. Never. Not at any point. Because he's hitting that. I mean, you've personally watched him hit that ball out quite a few times.
Yeah.
Right? Probably 15 times last year. I think actually 12 of Freddie's home runs were to left center field last year.
Yeah, oh yeah. He hit it. That was the most classic fucking Freddie Freeman home run I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And by the way, not even the first pitch. I can maybe forgive it as a first.
Yeah, for get me over, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the third pitch, right?
Second or third, yeah.
That was kind of dumb. But if you can't command the zone, it doesn't matter. This is Major League Baseball. I don't give a fuck how bad the team is. Like, you play the Pirates, and if you fucking can't throw strikes, they're going to beat you.
Right.
Like the Orioles, for example, the other day beat the Yankees on a walk-off walk because they could not throw fucking strikes. And everybody got all butthurt and mad about it. Aroldis Chapman threw a fucking slider that ended up belt high. You're not getting that fucking call. It doesn't look good. Like, aesthetics matter. Framing matters, as we are fucking well aware now, right?
Yeah, right.
It matters big time for Major League umpires.
I mean, Fried actually had a pitch last night that was in the strike zone, but it was just like a dog shit curveball.
Yeah.
And it hit the top away corner from the – it was a right-handed batter, and it hit the top left corner. I mean, it was a strike, but it looked like shit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, that's just the thing with him. But, I mean, all the talk from the organization has been that his stuff looks good. I thought his slider was still kind of fucked. I think he's getting on the side of it.
Inoa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's getting on the side of his slider a little bit, and that's why, like, the farther on the side of it you get, the more frequently you're going to get that backdoor slider, which is impossible to hit, by the way.
Yeah.
The best case scenario for a backdoor slider is that you break your bat. You know what I mean?
Right.
The worst case scenario is you swing right. Like, that's the one pitch you'll see in Major League Baseball where a guy misses the ball by a foot because he's expecting it to break and it doesn't.
Yeah.
You can see the spin. It looks like a little button on the ball. If you've ever played baseball before, on a slider especially. Like,
Aren't there, don't they have certain colors to them too? Isn't like one pitch kind of looks more bluish and one pitch looks more pinkish or something like that?
a slider looks pink.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the seams of the ball spinning so fast that it just looks like a red button coming at you. So you can track that red button. But if you see the red button and you're like, all right, here we go, I got to swing over here and the ball's over here, like, you're never going to hit that shit. But it also leads to quite a few hung sliders. And there's not an easier pitch to hit 5,000 feet than a hung slider. Like, more so than any other pitch. Hung curveball, it still has, it's a 12-6 or even sometimes a fucking like a 2-8 hump in it. But the slider is basically a batting practice fastball. It's like an low 80s mile per hour fastball right down the fucking middle.
Right.
You can't do that. Like, you just can't. And a lot of his pitches looked like that. That was his out pitch last year when he was really good. So they think he's got some mechanical issues and some approach issues in command of the strike zone that can be fixed in AAA, and I think they're probably right.
So in Noah too, so this is something I was thinking about the other day. So in Noah is one of the harder throwing dudes that could potentially be in the rotation on and off, whatever the fuck. How important do you think it is, I don't know, to have, I guess, some variety, or whatever in the rotation? Because right now the Braves are, Fried is Fried. He throws hard ish. Like, he throws fairly hard, but he has good breaking stuff too. So he's not necessarily like a hard throwing dude like Scherzer or DeGrom or something like that.
Yeah.
But he has a good fastball and a high velocity fastball. But pretty much everyone else in the Braves rotation, kind of like moving from present to future. I'm kind of excluding Morton here because he's not going to be there in like 2-3 years or whatever. It's all more finesse dudes. It's more like Mike Soroka type dudes. I mean, Elder, Anderson, basically Elder, Anderson, and Soroka. I mean, that's more of finesse changeup type guys inducing contact.
But they still live in the 94 to 96 range, so it's a little bit different. But I mean, I think it's important to not have. Now Spencer Strider is probably going to be the fifth guy in that. Provided Soroka comes back. If he doesn't, he'll be the fourth guy. He throws fucking gas all the time. And doesn't seem to get fucking tired either. Like, his last pitch the other day was faster than his first fastball, which is a good sign, by the way. I mean, it means that what that means is he's got super healthy ligaments. They don't buckle under the strain, so you're probably not going to see any major tendon or ligament surgeries for his shoulder and elbow anytime early in his career. And that's always a problem with guys that throw that hard. Like, your body can only take so much.
Right.
But if you see a guy who starts to throw faster as the game goes on, usually what it means is that he's got really good muscle groups protecting those tendons already. And you don't expect a guy like that to get too banged up. But yeah, he and Fried are kind of like fucking high velocity guys. Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright, who's looked fucking good this year as well. Right?
Yeah. I
we
forgot about Wright.
Yeah, we seem to forget about. But the two of those and Bryce Elder, obviously, they're more like, if I can, if I need to throw the ball 96 to get by this guy, then I will. But I'm going to try to throw it 93.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look, if you can command the strike zone, it doesn't matter how fast you're fucking throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Does timing matter? So obviously, like, one of the main things to do is fuck up a hitter's timing. Right?
Yeah, of course it does. Like one of the reasons.
Well, I was gonna say, here, let me finish the question.
Yeah.
So does time? Obviously, fucking up a hitter's timing is important, but does fucking with a hitter's timing across games matter?
I think it does.
So, like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, does it help to go the same way the Braves like to structure their lineup, lefty, righty, right? Does it help to go, like, finesse, velocity?
It has to, yeah. I mean, the reason that pitchers like Jamie Moyer, and even to some degree Tom Glavine, but he threw a little faster. He was like 92, 93.
Yeah.
But pitchers like Jamie Moyer, particularly like from the left side, or even knuckleballers, one of the reasons they're so difficult to deal with, and the reason that a lot of or switch hitters would only bat right-handed against those knuckleballers and shit like that, because they don't want to fuck up their vision on that stuff. Yeah, of course it does.
I was gonna say, put some respect on Jamie Moyer's name. I don't want to hear bad things.
No,
about him.
Jamie Moyer threw. Let's look at his fucking career. And this is a guy who
Not a knuckleball pitcher, but he did throw very slow.
Yeah, I think his he had a get me over curveball that was in the low 60s, I believe. And
what do they call? What do you call that pitch? Greinke throws it sometimes.
Ephus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jamie Moyer in his career, 269 wins. The guy couldn't throw 90 miles per hour. Probably never threw 90 in his entire fucking career. He also gave up the most home runs of any pitcher in Major League Baseball history.
Sick.
522. He's the only pitcher in the 500 home run.
Put that
club.
man in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. He only struck out 2,400 people in 4,000 innings, right? So, but still won 269 games, lost 209. Average season 14-11 for him. You would take that every single time.
Every time.
So, it's not just about velocity. It's about command and speeding up the bat. And look, having him on a team with Randy fucking Johnson, that's a pretty disparate look.
Right.
Jamie Moyer, what is he, like 5'10", and throws 85 miles per hour, and then Randy Johnson is 6'11", and he throws 100.
Yeah.
Of course it fucking matters. It has to, right?
Do you think that...
Like when a guy gets in a good rhythm batting, it means he's seeing the ball well, but it also means that his bottom half and top half and vision are all working together somehow, right? Whatever that means for that particular hitter. And if you throw in weird stuff like that, like you see pitchers... Freddie Freeman against Anthony Rizzo 2 or 3 years ago,
right?
2019. Cubs are getting blown out. They bring in Rizzo to pitch to Freddie Freeman. He strikes out on 3 pitches because he can't wait back. Like he's so geared up on a 90 mile per hour, 90 to 100 mile per hour fastball, he can't wait back on 65. Like he loses his mind, swings at the ball out of the zone. He's one of the most disciplined hitters in all of baseball. So if it can happen to him, it's definitely a big deal.
I would love to see more teams kind of try to construct their rotation that way. And I always thought during the Braves' 90s heyday, because it went Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, right? Smoltz was the third starter.
Yeah.
I always thought it would have been smarter to put him second because Glavine and Maddox, I know they're lefty-righty, but they're really similar in terms of velocity and strategy in a lot of ways as well. Like
they're the same pitcher, just with different arms,
right?
Or different handedness, I guess.
I thought it would have really fucked up teams to have to go back and forth like that. And to the Bobby Cox point,
maybe he was trying to put more pressure on the manager to fill out a different lineup day to day.
Yeah,
but you're probably right. Like if he had been a better baseball player, he probably would have thought like you thought.
I am a very good baseball player. So
what you're saying makes a lot more sense from a hitter trying to get his timing.
Yeah.
What he's doing makes more sense for a manager who has to manage a bullpen.
Yeah.
In the National League, I guess. Not that he was any good at it, but at least the strategy kind of makes sense. But I would have done what you're talking about for sure. I always thought that.
It's interesting to me. Let's get to the sponsors real quick before we get back into it. And I actually have a betting question for you in relation to our sponsor, among other things. Yeah. But we're talking about MyBookie. This weekend, a sold-out Wembley Stadium hosts one of the greatest boxers of all time, and you can bet on all the action with MyBookie at MyBookie.com. Tyson Fury is favored to win outright against Dylan White in the main event, so it's hard to argue given his undefeated record. If you're asking yourself how to bet this fight with MyBookie, backing the Gypsy King is an easy choice, but prop bets are the way to go as well. Fury to win by KO or TKO gives you the best chance to take the heavyweight champ at a fourth of the cost of his money line. And that's the type of edge you're looking for. Sign up at mybookie.com. Use the promo code DrinkinBros to grab a bonus for your first deposit all the way up to $1,000 and get in on the action on Saturday, April 23rd. Put in $200, play with $300 instantly. The only way watching the biggest card of the year could get any better is to get paid doing it, and you can do that with mybookie.com. It gives you everything you need to get paid. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.com. And speaking of gambling on baseball, or gambling on mybookie.com, Ross showed me before the show his ticket. He bet the Braves last night to beat the Dodgers, and he won that bet. He bet a money line because they were dogs. I actually had a listener DM me on Instagram this morning or last night or some shit. Who was it? It was Lee Schutz. And he asked if it was worth it to bet money line on every game for a team like the Dodgers or Astros, knowing that they'll win over 90 games.
You're asking about I mean, so there's it.
Thinking like I'll come out ahead at the end. It's a grind, but
you're doing trig at that point because there's multiple things. There's the win or loss, and then there's also the money line, like what it is, minus something or plus something, right? So there's three variables inside of this that makes it a trigonometry problem. You could figure it out, yeah. I'm sure there's like if the average in Vegas does this, they have an odd on every single game that's going to happen this year, but those odds change throughout the year, obviously based on pitching matchups, weather, all kinds of shit.
And certainly this gentleman is not the first person to think of this idea.
No, if you could just plug in these numbers into a computer and spit out a winning formula, somebody like that, Darren Aronofsky made a movie about this called Pi. If you haven't seen it, do some meth, right? Because you're going to feel like you're on it when you're watching that shit anyways, and then watch it. But yeah, it's a really good question, and diving into that helps you understand how gambling works a little bit better. Yeah. Right. So if you're like, I really like this game, I want to bet on it, but these odds kind of suck. Okay, well, there's some fucking odds inside of the props usually that make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Like you can look at for this fight, Fury versus White, for example. And I think are you guys doing a fight sports show later in the week or
no?
No, Tyson Fury's going to win. Put your money on Tyson Fury.
Yeah, for sure. But there's quite a few prop bets on this. Usually the most money I make on boxing is betting the round that the fight ends in, right? So I usually pick like 3 rounds that I think the fight are going to end, and I bet on all 3 of them. Yeah. And those odds are usually like 400 to like 1,000, 1,200 to like plus.
So you obviously only one of the 3 is going to hit, but you make your money back and then some. Yeah. Usually when that does.
Well, let me see. I'll look at this specific fight and tell you exactly what it's going to be.
So I told him, and you have to keep the odds in mind when you're talking money line. Yeah. I told him someone like the Dodgers, probably not worth it because their odds are always so high. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So if the Dodgers win 92 games, you will lose about $1,000 betting $100 on every game because they're probably averaging minus 150 across the course of a season.
If not 180, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, but
so if you do that, what I told him was you probably want to bet a team that you are pretty confident is going to win 92 to 95 games, but because that type of team will also have lower odds on the day-to-day usually, especially if they play in a tougher division.
Yeah, so I said Toronto would probably
would the Phillies be a team like that?
No. But Toronto or the Rays would definitely be 2 teams to do that with.
Those 2. I also said the Braves and Astros as well, because those teams, you essentially
probably more the Astros than the Braves because they're going to have like an end-to-end good season, and the Braves, just the type of team they fucking have down periods. So.
Right. So, what was I going to say there? Oh, what I was going to say is you want a team essentially that's and I did the math on this for a 92-win team. Mm-hmm. You want a team that's averaging about a minus 120 money line for the season. Okay. And if you do that and they win 92 games, you'll come out about plus 800 if you're betting 100 on every game.
Interesting. I'm sure there's a formula out there, but no matter how exact you get it, there's still a good chance you'll lose.
Yes.
So make sure that if you're doing that you do it with money that you don't care about losing.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're betting 100 on every game, what is that, like $16,000 for
a day?
For a season.
For a season, yeah.
So you need $16,000 to fuck around with.
Yeah, which is, whatever. Let's see. 5, 7. So the times that Dillian White has been knocked out, he's been knocked out between the 5th and 7th rounds, right? So that's a good piece of data to look at. Tyson Fury, when he's knocked people out recently, it's been in the 11th round, the 7th round, the 12th round, which is a decision. Second round, he's all over the map. It's hard to guess here on him, but here are the odds. This is why I bet this stuff. So Tyson Fury to win in the first round, plus 4,000. Second round is 3,300, 2,200 in the third, 18 and 14 and 4 and 5, 12, 11, 11, 11, 12 for the next through 10 right there. So you pick 3 or 4 of these. I mean, even if you bet on all of them, 12 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. If you bet $100 on each one of those, right? That's $1,200 that you'd be betting,
right?
And the least amount of money you would make back would be the lower rounds, the 1,100 rounds,
right?
You would make $1,100, so you would only lose $100 even by betting on all those. But if you hit on one of the big ones, you win quite a bit of money,
right?
You know what I mean? Like fucking several $1,000s.
Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of math I like doing. I'm doing math in my head when I'm watching the fight sometimes to see if there's like, what if I live bet this now? Yeah. Anyways, you can do the same thing with baseball.
Yeah. It's an interesting prospect. The other thing, too, is, we like live betting on games, especially college football and college basketball. If you want to kind of take it into live betting on the season situation, typically the odds will adjust if a team starts slow and looks shitty.
Yeah.
So you might be able to, maybe wait a week or two, see who doesn't start so hot. For example, the Braves have been they're going to be 2-3 games under 500 at the end of this series. They've been fine, but they could look better. That might be a team. I don't check the standings this early in the season, so I don't know what everyone's fucking record is, but
I think they're a game and a half out of first or something like that.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thought. And I mean, you can do it, dude. If you have the money to jack off, I suppose you could do it like $20 at a time too, whatever you want to do. But it's I think the sweet spot in terms of odds versus wins is you want like a 92 to 95 win team. Unless you got a real good feeling about some fucking upstart.
Feelings aren't facts. Also, the other number to narrow down that list a little bit is a team that's getting like minus 120s on a regular basis, not minus 150 to 180.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
That's not worth it.
Just, you end up having to spend too much money. So your sweet spot is a team that's obviously nearer to zero, whatever it happens to be. Or if it's plus money all the time,
yeah, right.
Good luck with that. I mean, there's probably a shitty team that gets such great odds, plus odds, that they're going to hit on enough of those where you can make some money. But, man, that's a fucking dangerous game.
That is. A team that comes to mind for that, though? Oh, wow. Dansby just made a fucking incredible play. Is the Reds.
Yeah, because anytime Green's pitching, they're going to have minus odds. But every other time, they probably have plus odds.
But you know what? They're playing such a shitty division.
Yeah.
And
they may win 85 games, to be honest.
On accident? Yeah. I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, they might win 80. I think they're easily could be an 80-win team. Yeah. Like a game or two under 500, whatever. Anyway, Acuna is playing baseball again.
Yeah, he's stealing bases and making plays in the outfield. This is all fucking pointless. Just let him fucking play.
Right.
I don't understand what the difference is of letting him figure it out in Gwinnett. Like, what does figuring it out mean for him? These games right now don't matter anyways. Get him in fucking Atlanta and let him play baseball.
Right. Get him in Atlanta and be like, hey, just maybe go 75% for the first month.
He's not going to do that.
Maybe that's the problem.
I expect him to be in the lineup on Friday, to be honest. Like, I really do. I would be surprised. I know he's going to try to angle for it. They may make him wait one more series and come back on Monday or Tuesday or whatever. That's probably more likely, but we'll see him next week. And the question is, how does the lineup work once he's in it?
Because right now, Albies is leading off, and Acuna will be back in the leadoff.
Yeah. Acuna will definitely be back. It's going to be Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, Albies. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and I like that because you kind of want Albies to be the second leadoff hitter, right?
Yep.
But
but also he mops up quite a bit of guys that are on
He's
base.
a good sort of pivot piece, I guess you could say, a sort of hinge in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like he can go either way.
He's done better in the 5-hole during his career than any other place.
Yeah.
Right. And the Braves do better when he's there as well. So yeah, that's good. And then I think that also having him down there is going to start to take some of the pressure off of the lower part of the lineup. Mm-hmm. They're all. I don't know if anybody paid attention to this before the season. You have to assume that Brian Snitker did, but all of those guys, especially Rosario and Duvall, are notoriously slow starters.
Yeah.
So, some of this is to be expected. I've been surprised by this Arcia kid. I didn't know much about him.
He's looked good.
Yeah, he seems to have a really good approach at the plate. And barrels up quite a few balls, man. I mean, he's hit 15 home runs in a season twice in his career over in Milwaukee. Doesn't strike out too much. Not really. I mean, he's definitely a better defender than he's a hitter.
Yeah. Although he dropped that foul ball last
well,
night.
He's playing out of position now. He's
Yeah.
a shortstop by trade. But yeah, he's been interesting. But yeah, once you have to wonder not just what the lineup's going to look like, but what the roster is going to look like when Acuna comes back. Like who leaves? I assume it's going to be RC is not going anywhere, right? Because he can
So
play
do you
multiple
think
positions.
Dickerson's the man out?
It's either him or Heredia, right? Dickerson can pinch hit, but he can't play the field
There's
anywhere.
no way they're getting rid of Heredia because he's our only defensive sub for the outfield, and also he's the sword guy.
Yeah.
Like he is actually like a genuinely like the clubhouse dude or whatever. So I doubt Heredia goes anywhere.
I mean, honestly, I'm curious with Swanson. He's looked pretty bad.
I mean, he's another guy that kind of starts slow. Typically, I feel like, and also he's batting in the 9-hole. And I know Albies is like he's got 5 home runs and shit already, but like there's just going to be a massive difference with Acuna batting behind him as opposed to Albies.
For sure, yeah. He hit 189 last April.
Swanson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does this. This is what he always does. So it is getting to the point with Swanson where his defense has been elite the entire time, and he gets really good in late innings and in clutch situations. I mean, fuck, he had 2 homers in the World Series.
Yeah.
One was a game tying, and one was sort of nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
So both big home runs. But I'm not worried about Dansby yet. I mean, he makes more than up for it in the field for now. Sure. Especially when he's batting in the 9-hole.
But his approach sucks. It's not like I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I don't think he forgot how to hit, but I think they need to move him out of the 9-hole and put a more professional hitter in the 9-hole. That may seem counterintuitive, but there's a burden from being in that position.
Yeah.
Right? That you're the second leadoff hitter. You also know that they want you not on base for the leadoff hitter to come up. So they're going to go after you with their best stuff every single time. And I just don't think he can handle that. I think, somebody else might be a little.
You don't think he's going to see strikes? You don't think he's going to see more strikes because of?
Well, they're not going to want to walk him, right?
Yeah,
certainly. But that's the approach. Like you have to be very disciplined on those breaking balls right off the edge of the plate.
Yeah,
and he's not. He's also popping up high fastballs quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean he is.
Like you have to be willing to take walks if you bat in that position. Mm-hmm. And man, he's just not at any point in his career done that. He's never walked more than 59 times in a season.
Which is insane for a guy with that kind of pedigree.
Yeah.
I mean, his on-base percentage for his career is .317.
Yeah, maybe fucking Chipper needs to have a conversation with him about plate vision and being more selective because he's not very good at it right now.
I agree with that. Yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough with that. But who else would you put there? Who would you put in the 9 hole if not Swanson? Because Duvall is fucking feast or famine. I don't know that you want Darno necessarily with just being a catcher or whatever.
No, I think Darno is too. He's
a great hitter, but I don't think you want him there.
No, and Duvall walks even less than Dansby Swanson does.
Right.
And Rosario walks even less than both of them put together. Or I guess if you divided them. I mean, he never walks.
Yeah.
Actually,
those dudes are swingers.
The second game of the season, he walked, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened right there? That was weird. I don't know. It's a good question, man. They don't really have a whole lot of plate discipline in the lower part of their line. They have a lot of explosiveness, but not a lot of plate discipline in the lower part of that lineup, whether it's Rosario, Darno, Duvall, or Swanson. I think that is going to be an issue if somebody notices and exploits that.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think for now, Swanson's probably the best option. In terms of, like, dudes who I think can adjust their game the best and become more of an on-base guy, I got to think it's Swanson over certainly Duvall and Rosario. I mean, Duvall's who he is, and Rosario's who he is. And like we said, Darno you don't want there. Real quick, let's get to some news around the majors.
Boom.
Pujols looks like he has a real fucking shot at 700. I think he's already got 2 home runs this year.
Yeah, and he's divorced his wife too, or he's in the process, so he can play another year if he needs to.
Yeah, if he's got all the time in the world. So he's at 2 home runs this year, so he's at 681 lifetime now.
He's also hitting 389 this year so far. Obviously in limited at bats. He's only got 18 at bats so far, but he's got 7 hits and 5 runs.
This is why I'm saying, like, I don't know why he's retiring this year. Oh, you want to go into the hall with Molina? That's fucking dumb. Hit 700 home runs.
Yeah.
Because he is, against lefties, he is still an above average hitter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, against lefties so far this year, he's 6 of 9. So
that's fucking absurd.
Definitely sees them pretty well. Not so great against right-handed pitchers, but you got to think over the course of a season, he's still going to hit. Even if they let him hit every day in the DH slot, he's still going to hit like 5 or 10 home runs against righties.
You would think
if he gets 500 at bats. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting what they're doing with him so far is working pretty well for him, especially. So
he's been great, and I think he's sort of got at least. He might cool off. He might be playing on a bit of adrenaline right now. But man, I mean, just against lefties alone, he is absolutely worth it. Whether it's 1 at bat against a reliever, in the put him in the 7th, and maybe he keeps going, whatever the fuck. I'm rooting for him to get the 700. I would love to see him join that club because I kind of think, unless he does, people are gonna forget how good he is. Like he needs his name in that club. And
back-to-back doubles by Olsen and Acuna, probably too, or not Acuna, Ozuna, probably too late.
Stat padding.
Yeah, it's the bottom of our top of the 9th with 2 outs.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work.
But yeah, he's getting close to A-Rod now, right?
A-Rod is 696, I think.
Yeah, so even if he just got to 697, that would be good for me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how A-Rod, who is one of the more notorious, he's the Lance Armstrong of the baseball steroid era. He's the guy that tried to fucking take people out, that lied to everybody, kept doing it long after everybody else was doing it and all this other shit. And he's like the fucking face of the MLB network.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's fucking weird.
Or not MLB network, but ESPN's baseball coverage. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And how does Carl Ravitch and Tim Kurkjian sit there in the room with him and pretend like he's not a piece of shit?
Yeah.
I guess money, but there's no fucking way.
Who is Tim Kurkjian going to confront?
I mean, how do I sit in a room with Rob?
That's true, yeah. And his fucking misshaped head baby.
Yeah. I do it every day because I get paid.
That's fair.
Well, you do it for the rides at this point.
That too.
Yeah. Speaking of that.
Wait, real quick. I was going to say, Pujols does actually have 700 career professional home runs.
If you can count the postseason, yeah.
Yep.
But A-Rod's probably got quite a few in the postseason as well, right?
He does. So Pujols, his last home run put him at 700 for regular season and playoffs, which count playoff home runs. God damn, I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. yeah, it's the next one is Seiya Suzuki. Definitely good pickup, right? Like I don't know how long you need to wait to make comparisons, but there have been guys like Hideki Matsui came in and immediately contributed. Obviously, Ichiro contributed better than anybody ever has.
Right.
In the middle, like a 27-year-old or whatever. But there was also always the thing with Ichiro where he wouldn't do what's best for the team. Like he would just single no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm hitting singles. Like
Yeah.
if I accidentally hit a home run, that is what it is. But like whatever. This kid looks pretty fucking good.
I'm impressed. Leading the major leagues in WAR right now, doing it on the Cubs, so no one cares.
Yeah. Why would you?
Right, because they just sold it. It's very bizarre to me that they sold most of their team and then signed him while he's in his prime.
Well, maybe they're going to make a move, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like it's just bizarre to me. Like that entire thing. Like they didn't get a disc. I mean, maybe they got a discount if he's going to be leading the MLB in WAR in the top 5 or 10 in WAR all year. Sure, that's a discount, I guess, for what they signed him for.
But the Cubs are not like a normal franchise. So teams will very frequently bring in one dude to sell tickets during the year during a rebuild. The Cubs are going to sell. They could you and I could be playing for the Cubs and people would still show up to Wrigley every single day.
Yes.
And watch those fucking baseball games. But I don't know. I mean, they're so far away from being good. They have Kyle Hendricks and Marcus Stroman. That's okay, right? It's just okay.
Right.
It's not like they have, like, we've got our fucking bullpen locked down or our rotation locked down or we've got our infield locked down. Now we're just going to fucking, build for the next couple of years, so let's go ahead and sign this guy. They have nothing locked down. Their defense is pretty good with Andrelton Simmons and Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
He's not hitting against left-handed pitching right now. Have you noticed that?
Who, Hayward?
Yeah, he's got I don't know if he's missed games because he was out or something like that, but he's only got 3 at-bats versus lefties all season.
I probably can't fucking hit him.
Yeah, well, he definitely can't hit him,
Yeah.
but it's interesting to see that they're doing that. This guy's hitting .414 to start off his career. Good for him.
Yeah.
Like, he looks great.
And then speaking of franchises are the exact opposite of the Cubs in terms of attendance, the Oakland A's played a game the other day, and official attendance. So that's like including tickets sold and shit.
All the tickets sold.
That no one used?
Not who showed up. Actually, a couple of people have posted pictures of the stands, and what the fuck is this, World War Z or some shit?
Yeah.
Everybody's dead?
It's just
nobody,
a COVID game.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck about baseball in Oakland anymore, including the team, right? So it's time to move them to Austin and call them the Austin fucking Meats or some stupid shit like that. I don't know what you would call it, but Austin Briskets.
Yeah. 3,000
The Austin A's, though, would be good.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
They are an original team, so I don't know if they
Yeah.
want to change their name.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
By the way, have more World Series for Philadelphia than the Phillies.
Well, the Phillies only have the one, right?
Two.
Oh, yeah.
Tug McGraw's
Tug McGraw, yeah.
in the 80s, and then,
They should have had 3, honestly. That fucking Toronto team shouldn't have beat the early in 90.
I don't think they should have. I think they should have won in 2011.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they had some really good 2010s teams.
Yeah. But the official attendance for that A's game just barely cracked 3,000. So that includes like luxury suites, all that shit, where you can just go and drink for free. People didn't even do that.
And tickets to an Oakland game, they're like $25.
Yeah. Just get them the fuck out of there.
If you've never been to Oakland though, it's in a weird area.
Yeah.
It's the Oracle Arena, whatever the fuck it was. O.com for a while.
Sick.
Right. So that was their sponsor. But Oracle Arena and the mixed use field of the Coliseum, which is what used to be the Raiders and the Athletics, right? Now it's just the Raiders are gone, Warriors are in San Francisco, and now it's just the worst of them.
Yeah. It's
just
like
the A's
abandoned amusement park at this
Yeah.
point.
Only the A's remain, and it's right next door to a fucking swap meet. Like way east, like 20 minutes east of downtown. Nobody's going to go over there to watch baseball. They tried. To their credit, the A's ownership at some point tried to get the city of Oakland to build down at Jack London Square, which is like right across the bay from San Francisco's.
I saw the
Giant Stadium.
mock-ups for that stadium on the water.
It would have been dope as fuck. You could take a ferry from the city over to Oakland, or from Alameda to Oakland, or you could take the ferry over there and watch the goddamn Giants game.
Yeah.
Right? They wanted They didn't even want money from the city. They wanted $450 million land grant, basically, for that land that's down there to build their stadium on. And the city was like, "Oh, we can't do that. That's cool, man. You're gonna lose your baseball team.
Yeah,
that's the end of that. So
good times. I hope they come here. Vegas is probably the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Although there's already the 51s or whatever, Area 51s.
Yeah.
The AAA team is already there.
Yeah.
I think it's Oakland's AAA team is in Vegas already.
Okay.
It used to be in Sacramento, I think, and now it's in Vegas. I could be completely wrong about that. Hold on, let's look it up. Minor league.
The two options I hear the most, we just are pimping Austin because we live here. Although I do think it would be a good idea. I think people would go nuts for baseball here. I think this town, especially with its proclivity for day drinking and shit like that, would just go fucking bananas.
Yeah, people would love it.
But the two I hear the most are Nashville and Vegas. But Nashville would require
Nashville fucking sucks, dude.
It really does.
Nashville is awful sports town.
It's not good, no.
It's a lesser Austin.
Yeah.
The stadium's awful.
And then once you go outside of the city, it's fucking terrible. There's no other major city anywhere fucking near there.
There's no culture. What's the street called, Dan, that we went on? Broadway?
Broadway, yeah.
Yeah, Broadway's like their 6th Street. It's
the
whatever.
Titans Stadium is in the perfect location too, and they somehow fucked it up. I don't understand it.
It's awful. Yeah, so Vegas has the Las Vegas Aviators. Used to be the 51s, but it's Oakland's AAA team.
Okay.
So what are you going to – they just built them a new stadium in 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Come in there, build a new Major League Baseball stadium, and kick your AAA team out of town because you're not playing in the same city? That's stupid.
Yeah,
you would cannibalize your own fucking business.
Well, to be fair, I guess it – wait, where did they build the Aviator Stadium?
It's in Summerlin, so it's just west of downtown Vegas.
Okay.
20 minutes away.
The Braves AAA team essentially plays in Atlanta.
Gwinnett is not Atlanta. Come on, man.
I thought it was exurban, suburban Atlanta.
Let's look it up on the map. I want to see it on the map.
I'm pretty sure. I was pretty sure. Yeah, it's right outside Atlanta.
So if you're looking at Google Maps right now and you see Atlanta and then you see Decatur, that's even farther away from downtown Atlanta than Summerlin is from downtown Vegas. So you're a whole other order of magnitude out. You're on the other side of Stone Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Which is the hillbilly
Mount
version
Rushmore.
of Mount Rushmore, yeah.
If you need a good lesson on what Stone Mountain is, just YouTube Squidbillies.
Stone Mountain, yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
It's you won't actually learn anything, but it's hilarious. Yeah. Actually, no, there is a period where they say everything that's real, but pretend it's a joke because it's so fucked up.
There's also a wonderful mixtape by Donald Glover.
Stone Mountain?
Yeah.
Nice. I believe that's where he's from, right?
It is.
That's why they made Kenneth Parcell from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
I see.
But yeah, all right, that's all I fucking got.
I'm just looking this up. So Atlanta to Decatur, 17 minutes. So that's about the same distance from downtown to Decatur as it is from downtown to Summerlin. Right?
Yeah.
So you're an hour out. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Fuck you.